Every lap we complete of the Daytona 500 today, the era of NASCAR car gets newer. Hello everybody, and welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel where we kick things off all the way back in the 1950s here with the NASCAR Belair. What a slick looking race car this was back in the day, and we kick things off here from Daytona, where every single lap that we complete, we're gonna of course advance the era of the sport, and we're right here in the oldest car that I could find available for this video now, as we are into fourth gear pretty quickly here, and look at us absolutely getting demolished by some of these, of course, more modern eras of NASCAR. We're hitting basically not even 100, and now I see 150 miles per hour, but we're not going a whole lot quicker than 150 now, as we're pretty well hitting the absolute limit of what this car is capable of here now, as we head down this back straightaway, watching the eras fly by us, the next gens, the car of tomorrows, as well as the 70s and the 90s cars all going by as we head down into turn number 3, and we've almost got this thing up to 160 miles per hour as we roll through 3 and out of turn number 4, and clearly this car is not the fastest, but what a slick looking ride, and then of course era of NASCAR. Imagine living in this era and how cool that would have been, seeing these cars on the racetrack. Now lap number 2, everybody knows this car. It's the iconic number 43, the King's Plymouth Superbird. This was such a cool race car back in the day, and now we put it on the racetrack here. Now, I mean, that wing on the back of the car is just so iconic, and I mean, this is the first time I've ever actually like driven this car in any video game or anything, and it's just super cool. It kind of takes off a bit slow, but you're gonna notice this thing moves now as we get up to fourth gear, and you're seeing the speed climb well quicker than the Belair that we just drove from over an era before, over 10 years before, and now we've already gone up over 160 and towards 170 miles per hour now. And this is a car where you actually have to let off down into the corners, but it doesn't matter. We're slipping, we're sliding, we're taking out cars now. Do we save it? Oh my goodness, that might be the most gangster thing I've ever done. We actually save it and continue on. Thank you very much. Now, as that is not quite what I wanted to do in this lap that we get with the Plymouth Superbird, but nonetheless, we continue on here into turn number 3, and I can confirm at full speed you actually have to let off the throttle in this car to actually get this thing to turn. It's just, I mean, it's not maybe the most downforce adequate car that you're going to find here as we continue to the end of this second lap. Now we only advance about a year forward into 1971. It's still Richard Petty's iconic number 43. It's the Dodge Charger. This was such a cool looking era of NASCAR as well. Honestly, look at the cockpit. It's sick. I mean, it's just old school. Of course, you got your typical gauges. It's just, I don't know what it is, but that simplistic vibe is so cool, and this is just such a cool looking race car now. And man, I know obviously I think that the modern day race cars, they still look awesome, but there's just something about going back into these eras here. And of course, these cars are extremely unsafe. They're, of course, you know, not the most advanced race cars, but they just look awesome, and they are fun to drive. They are awesome to listen to as well, as you can hear the engine of this Dodge Charger roaring as we head down into turn number 3. We have gotten this thing closer to 200 miles per hour, but still not quite there yet as we roll through 3 and 4, but a lot more speed in this car, and as well a bit more downforce here now as we head down this front straightaway, catching the outside wall on the exit of turn 4. No big deal as we come to the line to complete the third lap, as we'll advance into lap 4, and we take things into the next era that, well, I could find basically, which would be back into the beginning of the 1990s. This is the 1990 Skoal Bandit, and I don't think the car is supposed to do that. I don't think they did that back in the day. Okay, that was a problem. I was able to fix this, and the problem was I had to turn the extended physics off for this car, and we were back to normal. So let's get back into the 1990s here now as we kick off the kind of booming era of NASCAR now, as it's a bit of a slow start once again. This was an iconic paint scheme as well back in the day, as I really wish, as I was recording this video, as someone that was not even close to born yet in this era, it just would have been so cool if I could have experienced the 1990s of NASCAR. As a NASCAR fan, again. I feel like if you're like me, where you were born in like 2000 or after, you really wish you could experience the 1990s era. It just seemed so cool. As I get into the back of the Superbird number 43 right there, look at that 3 belair paint scheme. That is sick. As we head down this back straightaway now, in this car going up over 180 miles per hour. Do we eclipse 200? It's going to be 187, 88, and 190. It's not going to quite get there now, as we do have to slow up, not necessarily for the corner, but for the Superbird. We've crashed. We are going up and over. We are tumbling through 3 and 4, end over end. There's a car of tomorrow getting involved of Clint Boyer nearly over the catch fence and into the ground. And, well, that didn't take very long to completely screw up this run. This car was very cursed from the beginning. Well, let's move on to the next lap, I guess. It's Jeff Gordon, 1998. The Jeff Gordon era of NASCAR, of course, became a 4-time champion from the years of 1995 to 97, 98, and then to 2001 as well. As beautiful roof cam view, as I'm a huge roof cam lover, and they did a great job with the roof cam on this car now as well. The cockpit looks fantastic as well as we kick off into turn number 1. And this is kind of, right at that kind of big boom era for NASCAR, where it was really starting to take off, and Jeff Gordon and the Dale Earnhardt rivalry as well was kind of hitting this really heightened peak as well. It was such a cool kind of decade and era, like I said, for the NASCAR Cup Series now, as we are absolutely flying through some traffic. This is a very calm lap here finally now, as we've kind of needed some things to calm down after how the last couple of runs have gone now as we come through 3 and 4. Notice the Coca-Cola sponsorship there on the deck lid of the 24. Jeff Gordon was sponsored by Coca-Cola, but I think they got this a little bit wrong, because he had switched to Pepsi, I thought, by 1998. I could be wrong on that as we cross the line. Another lap down. Next lap, we kick things off into 2000. And we get to race Dale Earnhardt's iconic number 3 Chevy as we kick things off here. And a great launch actually off the grid from this number 3 as we head to the start finish line now. And this, again, such a cool looking race car. I mean, you compare this to what we just saw in the 1970s, such a radically different looking car. Look at it. I mean, we got the 1971 Charger right there off the nose of the Goodwrench now, and it's just such a different looking race car. But at the same time, even these early 2000s cars were just such a cool looking car. They kind of look a lot more, proper race car-y. Is that the right term to use now? It just looks very, very cool, of course. Now, as we head down this back straightaway with this number 3, of course, winning the 1998 Daytona 500, Dale Earnhardt did just a few years prior to this car here, as we head down into 3 and 4 for the final time. And we've eclipsed over 200 miles per hour into turn 3 as well with this Goodwrench number 3 as we exit turn 4. Nice clean lap again here as we head down this front straightaway, completing another lap, and we can move on to the next era. Now we're going to go mid-2000s, just before they kind of switched over into the Car of Tomorrow era. Now we're about 2005, 2006 era with this car. We've actually got Jeff Gordon's Nicorette paint scheme slapped on this race car now as we kick things off through this trial, and it's such a beautiful paint scheme, such a cool race car as well. When you look at the car, it's not symmetrical. This is not a symmetrical car, and it was so cool. I don't know what it was, but this is also an era I still didn't really get to experience, but I remember always being a kid and looking at these cars, and you could see the front end, how the right front looks completely different shape-wise than the left front. It's such a really cool thing with how they did these cars, and just with the right sides and the left sides being different. I don't know why. It's just that was something that was always really cool to me, as we as well get over 200 miles per hour in this beast as well. I think we eclipsed 205 into turn number 3. Speeds we weren't quite hitting 30 years ago in the cars we were just doing a few minutes ago. Now, as we've actually got a car stopped here down the front straightaway, I nearly just died as we come through and across the line. And now we jump into a radically different era, as we are still with Jeff Gordon, but it's now the Car of Tomorrow that was introduced in 2007 part-time and full-time in 2008, where they added a rear wing to the race car, and as well the front end went from a typical bumper to where it kind of went into the space with an indent and then a splitter instead of the valance that they've always used for decades prior where we now have a splitter on the bottom of the car, and it was crucial to have that splitter close to the racetrack as possible. We have gotten off to a great start here. We are driving through this 1970 Superbird as, you know what, we're just going to keep on pushing through, as this was a very controversial car. Of course, a lot of drivers did not like this car. They continued to adapt it as we continue to adapt the underbody of the 1970 Plymouth, as there we go, we continue on. But this was a very unpopular car for drivers, for maybe some fans as well. This was the era that introduced me to NASCAR, so I have a bit of a nostalgic soft spot for this car. I still love the way this car looks, but I am, of course, going to be nostalgic. This was my introduction to NASCAR as a little kid, so I always thought this was super cool as we head down the front straightaway. Now, this car, of course, saw some changes where they kind of went back to a normal front bumper, still with a splitter. They eventually got rid of the wing, but we're going to jump eras straight into the beginning of Gen 6. This was the most recent generation before we went over to the next gen now, and for whatever reason in this mod, when I'm on the outside of the car, you can't hear it. So you can only hear it on the interior. So that, I don't know what that's about. I didn't know we were driving an electric race car all of a sudden. I will maybe just edit some engine sounds just for fun into the car here now as we get rolling now. And this was such a cool era. Gen 6 went through so many different changes from the introduction in 2013 all the way to the end of it in 2021. We went from moments of high horsepower, over 900 horsepower in 2014 with high downforce. It made the racing epic, and it went through the swings as well of NASCAR losing their bravery, losing its kind of personality, and basically NASCAR lost balls and they slowed the cars down, and it really took a lot of fun out of the sport. And of course, we're still in that era now of low horsepower, unfortunately, as we come to the end of the lap, and we did get over 200 miles per hour. I mean, we're about to hit it right now, 200 right at the line, as we jump into the tail end of this generation before we saw the change in the next gen. It's the number 24, Jeff Gordon. He's now retired as William Byron's Liberty University, now a Chevrolet Camaro, as we kick off here. And this is the era where they had already slowed down this car. We had advanced all the way to 2021 from back in like 2013, 2014, and we had lacked a ton of horsepower. That car's lacking a lot of ability right there as we head down into turn number 1, and I still think this was a really awesome generation of car. It really did suck that they went down a route where they removed so much horsepower, because I felt like the Gen 6, they had gotten so many things right later on, especially, but if we had that 2014 kind of package with the high downforce but really high horsepower, I felt like that was such a good combination for this Gen 6 car. And as well, the road courses were so much fun, short tracks were so much fun, super speedways right towards the tail end of Gen 6, what you're seeing right here, were super fun to watch this car on. As look at the massive spoiler on this car as well as we come through to complete this lap. Now, before we jump into the current and most up-to-date era, I want to do an honorary mention, and that is NASCAR's Garage 56. Now, that came, of course, in 2023, where they entered the great race of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and they took Jimmy Johnson, Mike Rockenfeller, Jenson Button behind the wheel of this Garage 56 Camaro, and they ripped it around the Le Mans circuit for 24 hours and put on a great display for NASCAR. And obviously this is not something used in NASCAR, but I wanted to do, like I said, an honorary mention for this car now, as it really shows you how far we have come just from what we saw in the beginning of this video and into the 1970s, and look at how far we've come to now. We've got this souped up stock car that is low to the ground. It's got 5 gears instead of 4. It's got fins on the sides of the car. There's so many things that we have adapted into NASCAR nowadays, of course, in our cars, even for exhibition events. You could call it an exhibition for NASCAR as we continue through 3 and 4. And not the most speed out of this car. You're not going to be going over 200 miles per hour, at least here in this mod, as we actually are going to get ourselves in a huge crash down the front straightaway. I think we still have cars stopped down the front straightaway as we'll complete the lap, and we'll jump in to the final showcase of the current era of NASCAR, the next gen, the 2025 next gen 24 William Byron Exalta Flames. The number has moved forward. That was such a controversial move from NASCAR. Sequential shifting in the car now as well, 5 gears instead of 4. They made so many radical changes. The rear end shortened up on the car as well. I personally am a fan of the number move forward. I think it looks great, especially when it's done properly with the paint schemes and the sponsor placements as well. There's certainly many examples where it doesn't look good at all, but when it's done right, it looks, in my opinion, far better than what we had when the number was on the door. As well, again, these cars don't get up to the speeds that we would like to see, in my personal opinion. Now, as you're going to see, we get over 180 miles per hour. We might get to 190 here on the run into turn number 3. It's going to be close, right at 190 into turn number 3, but just lacking a little overall speed in general. Now, as we went from the early 1950s, we progressed through the eras, and it's so cool to come and relive all the eras NASCAR's gone through until this point right here, as we finish things off with the number 24 Exalta Chevrolet Next Gen of William Byron in Daytona. This was a really fun video to do. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and that does it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.